Today, let's talk about small things that help me a lot to live a happier life. In general, I would say my life is amazing and I live the life that I want to live. And I think what's really crucial to that is also our mindset and the way we talk to ourselves and the view we have of ourselves and the world around us. Of course, as a short disclaimer here, I think it's very necessary that we have shelter and food and everything. And it's not always in our hands to make sure that we have these things. So I'm really grateful for the privileges that I have. But today I want to talk about the things that we can change, about the things that we can adjust and think differently to live a more happy life. So let's get started with number one. Joy is something that I deserve. I think far too often we think that it's so important to work first and play later, or in order to enjoy something, we have to accomplish something, that we only are allowed to be happy if we succeeded in something, did everything on our to-do list. And I think that's wrong. I think all of us deserve to spend time the way we like to spend it, to be happy, to do like things with friends and family or yourself that really make you happy. No matter if you've accomplished everything you wanted, I think we deserve to feel joy because that also helps us accomplish the things we want to accomplish. So that is one of the things that I try to make sure is that every single day I do also do something or many things for as much time as I have that truly make me happy, that I truly enjoy doing. The second is that comparison is mostly counterproductive. So I think it's very natural that we compare ourselves. For example, I compare myself to other people with YouTube channels. So people that started out around the same time, I look at their channels and I see like, oh, I have more subscribers than them. Or I see, oh, well, I have a lot more subscribers than I do. And this comparison is mostly not helpful. I think sometimes in tiny ways it can motivate, and if we talk to each other and help each other out, it can be something beautiful. But comparison a lot of times is negative in a way that I think either we just feel better because we feel superior to someone, or we feel bad. And I think it happens a lot in that direction, that we think like, oh, why can all these other people have all the things I want to have and I can't have them? The problem here, I think, is that we usually don't compare the same thing to the same thing. We had maybe different resources, we had a different amount of time, we had a different amount of support, we are going for something else. So if I look at the channel with 1 million subscribers and I think like, if I just had that, I would be happy. Now, I really don't know how that person's life is in general, how much they worked for it, when and where they started, how much time they put into it, how their relationships are, if they're suffering from a bad work-life balance. That's enough for me to see that comparison is oftentimes not helpful, and that it's definitely okay to be inspired by someone or something, but that we have to make sure that we realize we don't see everything and we don't know what we're actually comparing. And let's just, focus on the things that we want and use our resources to actually go there, and not compare ourselves and question ourselves why we're not where someone else is, when that's maybe not even what we're going for. Number 3 is also really important, and sometimes I've been struggling with it in the past, and that's I know myself best. Now, I think it's always important to take criticism and think about what other people tell me about myself, and think about how things that I do and say might be received from other people. But I am still the only person that lives in this body, and I am still the one that has to make the decisions and has to live the life I chose for myself. And so oftentimes, if other people tell me stuff about myself, like, oh, I totally know that you should do that because that's what's best for you, or I totally see through you, you are an evil person. I don't know, things that people have said about me, or maybe even stuff that people did not even say, but I thought they were thinking by the way they were looking at me. I think it's just very important to realize that, yes, people have assumptions, and yes, people might gossip or have opinions, but I am the one living my life. So I know best how it is living in this body, what I can do, what I want to do, what my intentions are. And so I think, apart from, of course, reflecting on what I'm doing and how that affects other people and their reactions and criticism, it's also really important to not make our own voices too small and to believe in ourselves when we feel like this is too much for me, there has to be a boundary, or when we realize like I can't do that, or I actually really want to do that even though other people say I should do this other thing. So I try to believe in myself and know that I know myself best, and I try to be a good person, but I also have to be a good person for myself and look after myself, and that is something I can do and I'm allowed to do. Number 4 is it's okay if things are overwhelming. So when I was maybe in my teenage years, I always thought that once I'm an adult, I am free to do whatever I want and nobody can tell me what I have to do, and I will have it all figured out and live this life that I want to live. And then now, almost at the end of my 20s, I realized like I have absolutely not figured it out. And so many times there are situations where I'm overwhelmed and when I think like, oh, I can't do that. Or where I want to be this person who always replies to emails really quickly, but I'm just not. I just can't. I can beat myself up about this, but I think that's not helpful. So I do just want to allow myself to be not perfect, and I don't have to be happy all the time. So in this video, I want to talk about stuff that makes me more happy, but I think it also makes me more happy to acknowledge that sometimes things are bad, sometimes things don't go our way, sometimes we are exhausted and overwhelmed, and accepting that instead of fighting it and thinking that's something wrong with me because I'm feeling like that, I think that also helps me feel better, or at least like make a quicker recovery to be my happy self again. Number 5, not only the result matters. Of course, when we, for example, go to school or during my studies, I had to do a lot of things that I did not enjoy in order to achieve a certain, degree. And I think that's normal. And I think we should do things that are hard. We should practice delayed gratification, where we put ourselves through hard things for a reward later on, when it's not enjoyable right this second. That's absolutely normal. But I also think we should not forget about the journey itself as well. So one example is for me that I want to have a work life that I enjoy as well. So I don't just want to work towards retirement and thinking like, well, when I'm retired, once I'm 70, I'm gonna go on a trip around the world and I'm gonna do all of the things that I haven't done now because I don't have time. So I do want to make sure that whatever I do, no matter if it's career, if it's a family choice, if I'm moving, how I spend my holidays, how I spend my evenings, all of that, it shouldn't just be means to achieve a certain result. To live a happy life, I do want to make sure that the way I spend my time is enjoyable. To a certain extent, well, of course, also having to do stuff that I don't enjoy from time to time. Number 6 is something I realized during the past few years, and it's that change is really a constant. And I think it's okay that way. For me, that means that it's normal to change our opinion. It's normal to change the way we do things. It's normal to change up our social circle or our whole life. And I think there's this misconception, or at least something that I had, that once you become an adult, or even in your teenage years, you have certain opinions and values, and they should never change. Because if they change, it would mean that you failed. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to change your opinion. And I think it's normal. And I think if we try to not change, if we try to stick to things too much, that can hinder growth and can hinder experiences that would be so wonderful. So why not just go with the flow and accept that there's no definite answers to most things. To most things in life, they change over time, and our feelings about them and our decisions. And I think it's absolutely okay and wonderful and so amazing to discover new things about ourselves that we didn't know a few years ago. And then number 7, it goes a bit hand in hand with that, and it's that mostly there's no black and white. Of course, there are certain laws and boundaries and things that are just, something that I just think you can do that and you can't do that. But I also think it's important to realize that 95% of life is a gray area. So depending on your perspective, depending on your mindset, depending on how you feel right now, things can look different. And something that's really important to me is trying to also understand other people's perspectives. And I think it makes life so much more enjoyable and also easier because it avoids a lot of fighting with other people if we are interested in these perspectives and realize that most of this world is complex. We as one person mostly only know a very, very small part of the truth or of this world in general. It's just interesting to learn and also learn about our own mistakes and how we can try to be even better friends and allies and people in general. And then number 8 is I want to stay curious. And that is something that can look so different from person to person, from year to year. And for me, it's just that I want to accept, like, as you can maybe see from the previous 7 things, that there's so much more to learn, and I will change and I will discover new things about myself. I will change my opinion about minimalism. I will change my opinion about the things that make me happy. I maybe want to spend my time differently. I might have a certain vision for my future right now, but in 2 years I want to go for something completely different. And the other part of this stay curious is also that it includes a certain amount of novelty, you know, doing new things, experiencing new things, and thinking new things. And that really helps keep your life from being boring. It helps us memorize things better. It helps us live more full lives. And it just helps us stay flexible and happy and not end up in a very boring everyday routine. While of course having a good boring everyday routine can also make a very content life. Let me know down below in the comments what you do believe or follow that makes your life better and happier. Now, I do want to link you a video here that I recommend you check out. And I also want to say thank you so much to all of my patrons, to all the people that support this channel with super thanks, or of course also all of my subscribers, viewers, the people who comment and like. Thank you so much. It's a huge part of me being able to do this, and I hope to see you in my next video. Goodbye!